Good evening and welcome to From the AD's View. I'm your host, Dr. Cedric Brown. And before I get started, as I do every week, I'd like to give honor to God, who's the head of my life, and just thank Him for the many blessings that He has bestowed upon me and my family. Without Him in my life, I would not be the man that I am, would not be the husband, the father, the professional that I am. And I just want to give honor to him for being the head of my life. Um, I'd like to welcome today's guest, who's a special guest to me, a former colleague, a little brother from another mother. I'd like to welcome Mr. Nate Coombs. Little bro, what's going on, man?
No, just living life, living the dream. I'm glad I got to be with you today, Dr. Brown.
Hey, man, you left us in the red and white, as our GA, and did a remarkable job with us. And now you have on the blue and the red, and you're at SMU. That is amazing, Nate. That you're there, and we're going to get into it a little bit later. But a couple things, Nate. Tell me in a few words, Nate, what you think about the NIL in college athletics.
No, I think it's a great opportunity for the athletes, definitely to make money off of their name, image, and likeness. I think it's a great way for them.
And now I'm gonna switch up with you a little bit. Tell me what you think about the Taylor Swift effect.
It it's overtaken the NFL. That's for sure.
It's something to behold. And then last, uh, Nate, talk to me a little bit about your journey as a graduate assistant.
Being a graduate assistant is great because not only do you get firsthand experience, but you also get a lot of time to take from other leaders in administrative offices and different things to really see what you kind of want to do with your career going forward, which is really great.
That's cool. These topics and more on From the AD's View. Let's get it. Welcome back to From the AD's View. As I said before, I'm your host, Dr. Cedric Brown. And I'd like to bring back today's guest, Mr. Nate Coombs. Nate, man, I miss you, buddy. I miss you. Our little talks, our walks around the track, at the football stadium, and just some of the things that you and I have discussed, athletics, family, faith, and things like that. You are a remarkable young man, and I absolutely treasure the opportunity that you and I had to work together. But let's talk about some of these topics, Nate. The NIL, name, image, and likeness. The U.S. District Court came in with um, a damage award for three particular student athletes, and it is a monumental, right? If they do the damages that they're talking about, it could be in the upwards of about $4.5 billion that could be awarded in damages for student athletes for name, image, and likeness. Um, what do you think about it? Is it, in our opener, you said that you're in favor of it. You're in favor of the student athletes getting paid. Um, is there only upside, Nate, or is there downside to it as well?
So, kind of from the everything that I've been able to see and overtake with concerning NLI or NIL, um,
Hmm.
it's really great for the student athletes just because they can make money off of their presence and help other businesses grow in popularity as well. Just using kind of like their brands and kind of the social power that they do have. However, I do think it could make a negative impact if it follows more along with that kind of the pay for place kind of schemes that they disguise with NIL. Having the two being more in the gray areas, it makes it a little bit harder to really see in some cases where if it's are they actually doing it just for their name, image, likeness, or if they're doing it for the athletic ability as well.
And that is what you brought up, Nate, is so important, right? Because as athletic administrators, we want student athletes to have the opportunity to make money, right? But and it is also an it's an existential threat to college athletics if it is not governed the right way, right? And so now, in the state of Utah, your home state, where you and I met and worked at, they are asking the government of Utah in the state to make every deal that student athletes have within their collective NIL to make those public. So now we'll know the name of the student athlete, we'll know what the deal consisted of. And the reason why they're asking for that is because it's taxpayer money that the school is governing that, right? So that is being funded, that's being done by employees of the universities, other than BYU, because BYU is private, right? So Southern Utah, Weber State, um, Utah, all of those universities are being asked to make those private. I mean, make those public. Excuse me. Is that advantageous to the student athlete, or can that hurt the process of that student athlete by putting their name out there, making that public?
So I think in some cases with in that kind of aspect, I don't see particularly how it can really hurt since they're receiving the money, putting out their name, image and likeness in the first place to be able to follow up with those deals and everything. Um, a lot of times, too, everybody thinks that a lot of these NIL deals are hundreds of thousands of dollars, and every athlete's doing that. Where in most cases, especially at smaller institutions, that generally most times not the case. Like most NIL deals is you get a couple free products or you get a couple like a couple $100. Like it's nothing crazy outrageous for most athletes. So I think having the that kind of I'm trying to think of the right word for that kind of chance and opportunity to share that kind of documentation and information with the public and everything. With some of those smaller deals, I can kind of see the reasoning for that, but with some of those larger ones and expectations, it can kind of create more of a, oh, well, you gave this person so much money, why aren't you giving me that much money for doing the exact same process? And so that can cause contention between a lot of not only athletes but companies as well.
Right. So in early last month, the Utah Utes come out, and their Crimson Collective come out, and they give every athletically related student athlete that has athletically related aid, they give them a Dodge truck. How crazy is that NIL deal?
And all I know is that those that collective, they better got good insurance money. That's for sure. Now, when I remember when that all came out, and one of my coworkers at SMU right now, he actually used to work for the University of Utah prior to coming to SMU in Dallas, and we both were talking about the whole thing, and just kind of crazy how if someone's got their mind together that they really want to help kind of exploit and not really exploit, but just show and brand off kids' brands and names and use their social power to the company's extent that they're willing to give someone a vehicle like that. And it's kind of cool to be able to see and recognize that and kind of see it come into play. And now it'll be interesting to see what happens with other universities and what they kind of do to try to compete with that.
So Nate, how do you separate a a deal like that, right? That is on its face, you know, out in the public, the collective, they came in and worked that deal to fruition to give the student athletes the opportunity to monetize their name, image, and likeness, right? Because driving around in those Dodge trucks in Salt Lake City is going to help the Dodge truck, owners and manufacturers um, to the highest degree. But how does that impact the pay for play that people think? Because we know that wasn't a pay for play type of thing. That was a collective that had been working probably for more than a year
Mm-hmm.
to put that deal together. So, how do we protect against those that want to circumvent the system and try to draw the student athlete just for the NIL?
So I think with a lot of that, it comes into you got to make sure your documentation is really good and clear and exactly what the deal is. Um, in the documentation, you got to make sure it talks about how the truck's there for branding purposes, that it's not used based off of how many tackles they get, how many touchdowns they score. That's used to help promote the brand, and then also on the student athletes end, they have to help what they have to do on their part to help either promote the business, promote the product that they're using, and everything like that. Whether it's putting a social media post out with them inside the truck and just kind of showing, oh hey, thank you for so and so for helping get us the Dodge vehicles, or for any student athlete with the products that or the company that they're representing. You just got to make sure it's really clear in the writing and kind of in that the contract information, so
Right.
that way you can't really get across with the pay for play kind of scheme.
Right. So before we go to break, let me switch uh, channels on you, right? And we'll talk a little NFL, and
Oh boy. Oh boy.
specifically the Kansas City Chiefs and the Swift effect, the Swifties, Taylor Swift. What do you think about this phenomenon with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey?
It just kind of like puts me in perspective how much really kind of social power and understanding Taylor Swift really does have in kind of the world and in the community, and now in fact in the sports world. You see all over the first time she went to a game, like everybody went crazy, and that was consistently going on, and everybody keeps playing off of it, which has grown a lot of publicity not only for the NFL, but like people are posting TikToks about it 24/7. So other like social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, everything. That's all they talk about. Even you go watch the pre-game shows of the NFL, they're even talking about it too. So it kind of makes it a little bit more fun and helps bring just a new audience into the NFL and really try to grow that viewership in the sport that now is kind of running the United States right now, football.
And just think about how many women are now tuning in to watch football when the Kansas City Chiefs are playing. Like tomorrow morning at you're in the Midwest, and I mean you're on Mountain Time, so 7:30 tomorrow in Mountain Time, they're going to be on national television playing against Miami. And here's the big question: will she be there or won't she be there? She's over in Europe right now on a tour, right? Because when she's been there, they are, I'll give you some stats. They are 4-0 when she's been there. Travis Kelsey has an average of 108 receiving yards, right? Um, and like I said, they are killing it. When she's not there, they're 2-3, and he only averages around 50 yards per game. So, and I saw in an article where he didn't want to talk about it over in Europe because he says that when they talk about it, right, whether she's going to be there or not, the line in Vegas changes, right? If she's
Okay.
there,
Yeah,
you know,
that is
the
true.
line is going to be probably more favorable. If she's not there, it's going to be less favorable. She has she has given him, I think I heard, um, almost I think it's 50 million uh, or more followers since he and her have um, you know made a union together. So you tell me how much she and that Swifty Nation has raised his notoriety.
Well, first thing I want to say, I want to thank all of them because I got him on my fantasy football team, so they really boost me up the weeks that she is there. So I'm hoping that she's there for just basing off the kind of stats that you gave up and everything. But um,
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
think kind of like I said before, is just it's really good for not only his brand, because I mean like his podcast with his brother that he does, that's rose up in more viewership as well.
Yep.
He sold exponential amount of jerseys and other
Absolutely.
memorabilia and everything. But I don't know. I think just it's kind of interesting to see what happens when you have a large group of people together that have the same views and perspectives, and that when they get behind something, they really push it and
They
they
do.
really want to. They'll show their support and effort into it, and I just hope that the NFL can continue to kind of run with it a little bit and increase popularity for the sport, not just for the Swifty fans and everything like that, but for all fans, and
Yeah.
kind of use this as an example of what else they can do to try to bring more people in for the sport.
Absolutely. I think that it's going to be remarkable, and it's good for everybody, the families, good for young men, good for young women, good for little girls, to see how you can enjoy something that is so big. Stay with me, Nate. We're going to be coming back right after this break. You are watching From the AD's View. I'm your host, Dr. Cedric Brown. We will be right back after these commercial breaks.
Water. It's everywhere. We drink it, we bathe with it, we cook with it. Coffee's made with water. Toilets won't flush without it. It's used for washing clothes, dishes, utensils, pots, pans, floors, and our teeth. Plants and crops need water, animals drink it, and fish need it too. And don't forget, we can have a lot of fun in the water. Water. What would we do without it?
From the creative team that brought you the Browning Project and Dead by Morning comes a new thriller that will change the way you look at white-collar crime forever. Falling from the Sky.
I'm Leon Thomas with the Leon Thomas Group. Podcast, virtual events, webinars, streaming shows, and so much more. We want to be your partner in all things virtual.
Welcome back. You're watching From the 80s View. I'm your host, Dr. Cedric Brown. I'd like to talk a little bit about my book. The book that was written based on the dissertation that I have, how Black men can overcome racial barriers in the status quo, an NCAA narrative. The book was written because as I pursued my career in athletic administration, I wanted to look at how mentoring or how the individuals in your life can help you to get to your dream in your career, despite either perceived barriers or real barriers. And so during the show, my producers will put a QR code up on the screen that will allow you to scan the QR code and purchase the book if you'd like. And anybody that does purchase that book, I really do appreciate your support. If you'd like to contact me, you can reach me on my website at cedricmbrown.org, or you can reach me on my LinkedIn page, which is Cedric M. Brown, PhD. And you can reach me on my new email address, which is from the 80s view at gmail.com. You can catch us every Sunday evening at 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern for more open and honest conversations. So let's bring back our guest right now, Mr. Nate Coombs. Nate is a graduate assistant at Southern Methodist University. He and I worked together at Southern Utah University. Nate has been an outstanding young administrative assistant, has a very bright future, and we are so happy to have you, Nate, on the show. And I'm so honored and pleased that I had, although brief, opportunity to work with you because you're an up and coming star. Speaking of graduate assistantships, Nate, can you tell our audience a little bit about your journey in being a graduate assistant?
Yeah, absolutely. So it kind of like how Dr. Brown mentioned earlier, it started all with I was a marketing intern at Southern Utah, and I did a little bit of volunteer work in the compliance office there as well, just kind of on the side and helping out where I could. And then one day, the previous SWA, she called me in her office, asked me if I wanted to fill in for one of the compliance graduate assistant at the time was moving over to be director of ops for soccer team, and so they need someone to help fill the position for the coming spring semester. And with having the background a little bit already and kind of a little entry information I already knew about working in compliance, I took the opportunity to become the graduate assistant with my last year of my undergraduate journey. And it's been really cool to be able to learn and understand and recognize everything. And from that, I was able to take those skills and sets that I was able to learn at Southern Utah. And I saw a opportunity and the program and degree that kind of was eye-opening for me at Southern Methodist. And they also had a compliance graduate assistant spot open as well. So I kind of took a little leap of faith and put my name out there. And fortunately, I was able to get it and been able to work towards a sport management master's degree as well with my journey and working in the college athletic department at SMU. And it's just really cool because as a graduate assistant, you get a lot of opportunities to not only work in kind of the office that you're in, but oversee a lot of different things as well with not only our athletic department, but with being in Dallas, we've been able to have our eyes open to a lot of highly figure people in the DFW area. And it's really cool to be able to meet them and connect and talk and see their stories and kind of learn what you want to take from them and what you want to grow on as well.
And so as you worked here, and you were at an FCS school, right? Football championship school, and then you go to the FBS football bowl subdivision. Tell me some of the things. I know there's some Captain Obvious stuff, right? But some of the things that were more eye-opening to you when you left FCS to FBS.
The probably some of the bigger eye-opening things that I noticed, just for my first time kind of starting out here in Dallas with SMU is, they really love their program, and a lot of the times it's a lot of people that have been here for a long time. Kind of like my boss, my supervisor, he's worked and been with SMU for over 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And there's our athletic director, he's also been here for 10 plus years, and you can really tell the love that they have for the university. Where with FCS, unless you're one of the big time programs or everything, a lot of times people use it as kind of as a stepping stone spot to kind of up your career, get the experience, and go. And that's just one kind of thing I've noticed a little bit as well. Even though where it may be a little bit more intense at times with the FBS level, just because they have a little bit more money involved, or they're really working hard to get to those bowl games, help get more revenue for not only football program but for other sports programs as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing I've noticed, is that they have more programs that they oversee and overlook too, to try to help kind of make the university more impactful, to bring in not only student athletes but other students to come watch and participate in those events as well.
So a lot of the work that you did with us was, basically in compliance, right? And making sure that the school, the department was in compliance with NCAA rules and regulations, the bylaws. What are some of the things that you have been entrenched in when you've gotten to SMU that you might not have worked on when you were at Southern Utah?
Yeah, no, that's actually really good. It's, one of the main things I kind of help and work with is a lot of the initial eligibility for the incoming freshmen from that are coming straight out of high school into the school. That's kind of the main thing I focus on and help with. But another cool thing that I've been able to kind of see and put my eye into a little bit more is the kind of NIL ways that we've been able to help monitor, recognize kind of the contracts, and making sure they aren't doing the pay for play,
Mm-hmm.
and really monitoring it, make sure they're compliant with all those rules. So I'd say definitely the NIL opportunities that I've been able to help with, and kind of monitor that, look at it, see kind of how it all works, and what we can continue to try to do to help make things better and more easier process to work through, with things kind of continuing to change with the interpretation.
Sure. And working in compliance, and then dipping your toe a little bit in NIL with collectives and things like that. As you look forward, and you project what your career could look like. Right now, you're on the internal side, right? You're student services, student facing type of thing like that. The external side would be development, like you said, getting out in the community, doing your friend raising, cultivating the gift, preparing for the ask for the donation from the donors and things like that to support the athletics program. And Nate, where do you feel that your career path could go? Do you think you'll stay on the internal side, or would you like to go to the external side?
I feel like the beginning part, kind of as I move after I finish my master's degree and everything, it's looking, as of right now, I'll probably stay more on the internal side, just because it's a little bit more what I know, and I can kind of harness those skills a little bit more and get them a lot more strengthened. And then at the current point in time, and I hope it's earlier on, I'm wanting to try to move over to external, help with that fundraising, the gift giving, donations, and really making that connection with the donors to help whatever university or institution that I'm at, and really help kind of make the college I've experienced for the athletes the best way possible. And it really helps when you do have money to be able to boost the facilities and other things like that. So really trying to be able to work with something more on the external side later down the road is what I'm trying to look more towards.
And that is, and you will be very good at that, Nate. You're a very personable young man. You don't know a stranger, right? Your smile and your sense of humor is infectious, and so I know that you're going to be very successful in whatever you do, whether you stay on the internal side or you go to the external side. The last thing, Nate, before we close out the show, you and I have had many talks, and again, you are a young man of faith. Um, can you tell the audience what faith means to you, Nate?
So yeah, this faith is definitely very important. Like how you mentioned, we've talked about it a lot before. With it's faith is with everything. Just not only kind of the day to day aspect, but kind of just looking on and the bigger scheme of thing in life. And it really just helps kind of show that even in the hardest of times, that um, there was someone there that went through something harder. Um, that everything that we can do in our lives that work towards the ultimate goal of um, being with living with God again and doing everything that we can, and that kind of helps pushing me forward and the goals I have as not only working in college athletics but working as trying to be the best person for my wife and for my future family. And I know that by having that faith and understanding that Christ will be there for us with everything, that everything's gonna work, and it makes life a lot easier just by having that faith and understanding, and gives you more hope.
And again, you are an outstanding young man, Nate. And when I met you, we talked about a little bit about your mission that you went on, and the mission that you served, and how you had an opportunity to go out into communities and share your faith and your knowledge with communities and things like that. That 24-month period, Nate, that you went out, how impactful has that been on your life, Nate?
Oh, it honestly is one of the things that probably changed my life. That not only did it open up my eyes and opportunities for how to strengthen my faith in Christ and everything, but it helps also open the gates and opportunities for life down the road. When you have different people kind of slamming doors in your face or blowing by as you're trying just to talk with them, and it's helped share the light of Christ, and it kind of helps build the momentum to keep pushing forward, and using that kind of work ethic to really ultimate try to work towards the goals that you have later on in life, whether that's strengthening your own faith, helping others, and then in a work sense, working towards meeting deadline or hitting the kind of top career that you want to do with your life. And I recommend it to anybody, whether it's doing volunteer work, going somewhere, helping, building a school, or just even just sharing kind of the faith that you have and the light that Christ has given us, just sharing with anyone, that it helps not only you, but it helps so many people around you, and helps just build everyone up to become better in all aspects.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Nate, if someone wants to get in contact with Mr. Nate Coombs, um, can you share with them what the best way to connect with you would be?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So as you can kind of see, there's my email address right there down below. I'm also available on LinkedIn. Um, I with my program ends in the end of April, and I'll be looking for internship opportunities. So if you're aware of anything that's opening up more in the DFW or um, Houston or Utah areas, feel free to connect with me, and we can talk a little bit more, and I can share kind of how I can help, and um, what would be kind of expected. So yeah, just the email address or LinkedIn. Also Twitter, if you want to DM me on Twitter. It's at Coombsy_10. Feel free to mention me on any of those.
Well, anybody that gets you, Nate, would be better off. Their organization would be better off for having Nate Coombs in it. And little bro, I appreciate you being on the show today, man. Thank you so much.
No, well, I've been looking forward to this ever since you sent out the invitation to me. I always love being able to connect with you, Dr. Brown, and um, I always know that you'll be the big bro for life.
Absolutely. And stay in the studio, Nate, after the show, and we'll talk a little bit after that. But once again, I'd like to thank Nate Coombs for being a part of our show. As I close the show, I want to always be mindful of the opportunity and the platform that I'm given here to talk about things like education, sports, entertainment, family, and faith. I don't take those things for granted. And I want to give my guests, past, present, and future, a shout out for supporting me in this very small platform. I know when I started out in this, I was someone that really didn't know what to expect. I didn't have great experience in this, but I learned something this week from a colleague that people have experiences, they have exposure, and then they have expansion. And so what I'm doing right now with this is um, exposing myself to the opportunity to share my thoughts, my views, from different perspectives, and have um, my guests do the same. And what I'm also doing is expanding the brand that is from the '80s view, and is Cedric Brown. And so I'm really thankful for the opportunity with the Leon Thomas Group, my producer, Mr. Leon Thomas, my producer, Dr. Jay Rosenko, Orange Stewart, and then colleagues like Jasmine Pollock, to have this opportunity. So I thank each and every one of you for that. And as I close, all I want to say is have a great evening, good night, and God bless.